guys, it's Christina, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. I apologize, I actually took a break from filming the past few days. I had some serious things happen in my personal life, and then I was actually in the hospital for my kidney. I'm totally fine. I just needed a few days to bounce back, and actually this brought me to the conclusion, with the isolation I had, just making myself better, that there's a lot of people with the times going on right now during quarantine where you're struggling to navigate these relationships that you are stuck in with someone that has NPD on a normal basis, let alone bring in the standpoint of quarantine, and that's going to make it 20 times worse. So today's video topic is going to be on surviving a narcissistic relationship and how to cope and better exist with that person during quarantine. If you or someone you know is experiencing this type of abuse, I genuinely hope that this video can help you on your journey. Now, with quarantine going on, and with a lot of us, the numbers of normal visitors going places aren't back up to normal. People aren't comfortable going out. Some people are working from home. For a victim of narcissistic abuse, this is probably bringing a ton of anxiety into your life. To be quarantined with someone or have much more contact with them where you would not normally have this person in your daily life so consistently. It's almost like you have a breath of fresh air when you got those breaks from them going to work, or yourself going to work, from going and just being able to do outside topics that would better help your mental health with dealing with the situation. So having this increased contact with them, normal couples and in normal healthy relationships, you're probably going to see a lot more headbutting, and that is completely normal, and that's okay. The detrimental part about being in a narcissistic relationship, however, when you're having that increased contact, as you know, in the beginning of a relationship with a narcissist, you're going through that love bombing. They are actively trying to please you, be overly nice, considerate, show you that they genuinely care and validate your feelings. So as time goes on, as you know, during the discard and devalue phase, you're no longer a source of their supply, and you're no longer a detrimental thing that they want to appease in their life. They're becoming more and more indifferent about you. So during this quarantine time, where they would normally get annoyed at the little things that they would be into in the beginning that they thought were so cute or nice, the things that made you yourself, they're becoming increasingly aggravated by this behavior, just like you're obviously, and for rightful reasons, becoming increasingly aggravated on a normal basis by their constant indiscretions. So you're going to see an increased form of anxiety, depression. That worries me more than anything, because in my situation, I was moved far away from friends and family. And honestly, that isolation that I had, it brought me to the darkest points of my life, where I felt like I was never going to be the same person again. It literally caused me to have a breakdown, and that's the one thing that I'm most fearful for during these times where people are exposed to this abuse at a higher rate and a higher level. So there is a few things you can do to help navigate these relationships if you are stuck. I will say right now, the best thing you can do if you can, and you all know this, is leave, get out. But if right now there's something that's keeping you there, or right now you're just trying to understand what's happening and you're in the process of wanting to leave but you're not ready, then this video is for you. Now the first thing that you can do during this is to set boundaries and to stick with them. And I know you're thinking, like, what is a boundary in this type of relationship? So many times we often lose our sense of boundaries and self-respect because we're constantly allowing those boundaries to be crossed by someone that has narcissistic personality disorder. So, for example, if you know that this person is causing arguments with you every time you're about to go to bed, and that's why we see sleep deprivation as a common sign of narcissistic abuse, you are able to, at least if you can, set small boundaries that you know are going to protect you from those increased adverse reactions that you're seeing physically or mentally in your body. Where if they start to bring up an issue and they're fighting with you, an hour before bedtime, at that point where you're seeing that pattern, make it known to them, listen. And this is where you can actually use empathetic validation to approach this, and that's what I will touch on next, where you can say, I understand that there are certain things that are bothering you right now, and I know that times are not normal and this is different for both of us, but I really would like to make this relationship in quarantine as peaceful as possible, and for us both staying home, our safety. However, I do not want to have arguments before bed. They disrupt both of our sleep, we're tired the next day, and makes our overall mood bad, and I don't want that for either one of us. So going forward, if there's something that you want to discuss, I do care about your feelings. I would like to discuss that in an appropriate time. So an hour before bed is not reasonable. If you want to discuss something, please let me know in the afternoon after you're off work, if they're working from home. Set a time period that is convenient, after dinner, for example. Or that way you can talk about your day during dinner if it's something where you don't want to inconvenience them. When you use emotional validation, it's actually a really good way to confront communication with anyone when you're afraid of bringing something to the table. You address the situation by a compliment, or some type of validation of good behavior, the problem itself, and end it with a compliment. You make a compliment sandwich. That way you're able to get a better idea and a better positive impact of establishing that boundary with a narcissist, and they're more likely to listen because you're also giving them the validation, and they hear the good in it, but you've also now set the standard where in the future, if they attempt to do this again, you can say, in that conversation, I do care about your feelings, but however, I do not want to do this to us, and if you do engage in this behavior, then I'm going to go walk away, I'm going to go to sleep in another room. Sometimes you literally cannot stop yourself from their attacks. When you are living with a narcissist, it is literally like you are walking into a house that has a pit bull, and you say, I'm not going to allow it to attack me. So you're hiding in a room, but you know damn well when you do come out of that room, that at some point that pit bull is going to attack you. If anything, it's going to wait outside that door to come at you again. So if you need to remove yourself when you have set a boundary with this person, and of course, they're going to attempt to cross it. They're like toddlers. Their goal is to see how much they can get away with. And when they're stuck in a house with you, this just makes their overall game of manipulating you and dominating you even more superior. And when they see a reaction from you that's negative, it's only going to increase their overall supply they're getting, because remember, it comes good or bad. What you're doing in this situation is protecting yourself. Instead of continuing that conversation when they've tried to cross that boundary, even if you've used that emotional validation to try and set it, then if you know right now you're angry that they're even trying, or you're going to cause a reaction of hurt, pain, just disappointment, follow through with your own word and show them, just like your body will train you, that if you have the cause and reaction, if you do one thing and you keep seeing the same reaction, it's going to happen. Get up, kindly excuse yourself, go into another room, go sit outside, get some fresh air. A lot of times a narcissist does not like public display of their behavior. So by going outside, that might be your only safe space right now, because you can't go visit someone right now. If you're forced to stay home, you want to protect what's up in here and here as much as possible. So maybe going in the driveway, just taking a few deep breaths. If you need an excuse, just put some headphones on and just tune into yourself. Do some type of behavior where you're deep breathing, you're focusing on your breath, you're doing things to emotionally calm yourself down. Go outside and call someone, so that way you can distract your mind to cause as much of a little impact as possible inside of said home. That's incredibly important right now, because it's not only going to bring you back to a solid source and ground you, but it's going to show that person that you're not interested in their behavior. And I know, like I said, other people will experience this at different degrees where that person is fighting back. But if you minimize your reaction as much as possible, and they're saying, well, we need to talk about this now, and they're just totally just going against what they already agreed to, just tell them, listen, care about your feelings. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I've told you I don't want to do this in this manner at this time, because it's going to have a worse effect, and because I care about both of us. I'm sorry I cannot engage. I'm going to excuse myself and do said action, whatever it may be. Like I said, I highly recommend deep breathing, calling someone. Right now, since you can't go out and visit your friends, if you can't get into like a Skype chat and see someone face to face, go into the support groups on Facebook. They are so helpful. There is millions of people going through the same type of abuse you are. They understand. They're there to empathize with you in moments where you just need someone to tell you that you're okay and what is happening to you is not normal. Those people are amazing, and they're there to support you. Remember, the number one thing in narcissistic abuse is the validation of your reality. To know what's happening to you is not normal or okay by any means, and that is something that every single survivor, whether in the relationship, leaving, or preparing, you need that validation to rebuild your inner strength and confidence, and that is huge. So secondly, when you're establishing these boundaries, you're using that emotional validation. You have to keep in mind that there's going to be that increased contact right now, so you're going to be probably talking more. You must never make the mistakes and think that they genuinely care, about things that you're saying. You know, if you're more likely to open up right now, or maybe you're getting ballsy and wanting to confront them about their behavior because it's affecting you deeper right now. Remember that they do not care unless there is a reason for them to care. When you see those award-winning performances from them where they're acting like your words have validation to them and they care about your feelings, it is because that there's still a reason why they're being so nice. Maybe right now, obviously, they can't be out dating, so you're the person cooking, cleaning, giving them sexual activities. There's a reason. So want to keep that communication with them as much as it's going to sound boring. You want to keep it as inspecific and from oversharing. You want to make sure that you're not looking at them as a validation source. So your conversations with them, even though there will be increased communication, if you're not able to distract yourself by another activity, you know, for example, if you like drawing or writing activities are very good to keep you from having that increased awkwardness of just coexisting in the same room and the possibility of an argument. If you can't distract yourself by doing another activity or searching one of the many different things that are set up right now during quarantine to help other people, you know, kind of just do an activity or something for fun, silly things, work on something with your kids, look up a YouTube tutorial. If you're forced to have that direct conversation and contact, or they're just adamant about wanting to talk to you and brag about things, make sure that your validation source, first of all, because this is a big, huge, important aspect, whether it's quarantine or not, never make them the source of your validation. Because you have to understand that your accomplishments are something you have to be excited about. If you notice that when you tell them, they don't always have as much of a huge boom reaction as they would expect from you when they're telling you something that's maybe even not on the same level, but they want that constant, wow, woo, that's so great. If you are telling them something where you're looking to be grandiose yourself or boast because you just want them to see you and be proud of you and just see what you're capable of because they've spent so much time making you feel so small, understand, love, that they are going to use that to hurt you every time. You're not going to get the type of validation you want unless there's something in it for them. And like I said, if it sounds validating once, the next time it's not going to be. So keep that talk with them to the weather. Little things, and avoid oversharing, because when you're in a narcissistic relationship, it's just like when you get arrested and you're read your rights. Everything you say can and will be used against you. Do not give them further ammunition to fire at you when they're in narcissistic rage, where they're on a mission to cut you down, to invalidate the truths and the prospects you brought to the table. You want to make sure that you're not giving the gunman out to kill you more ammunition than they need. You want to just talk about very broad range subjects that don't have room for conflict. If anything, there's apps you can download to focus on your wellness and to center yourself to get through this. Do not let that negative self-talk fuel you in these arguments, because right now you're probably at a high risk of emotional vulnerability. You can do all these things to protect yourself and keep these conversations as low as possible, but you know that they're also baiting you during this process. They may be attempting to bring up a subject they know is sensitive to you, or bring something up they know might cause an argument. You have got to not allow yourself to fall into that baiting trap, or let the negative self-talk convince you that they're right in moments they are trying to pull you in. So if they start doing that, that is where you have to exercise at this time while you are stuck physically with them, that they are a pit bull and you are a person, and the pit bull's mission, if it's provoked and you're another pit bull, it's going to attack you. So whether that be one of the examples of finding something else to do or removing yourself from the conversation, know that you have got to stop yourself in moments of self-doubt where they are baiting you and trying to pick at you and cause an argument, because if they're not trying to provoke a reaction, they're trying to break you down. And right now, you are more susceptible to being broken down because you are literally trapped in a toxic environment with an individual whose main goal is to destroy you. And that is very terrifying. So you know what, just please, if you need a source of validation, the support groups. Call your best friend. Make a list of people that you can call. If there is something that you're excited about, or you know you just need to laugh, make that validation source someone positive who can at least help you right now. Maintain the bit of confidence that you do have. Your own insides need to be validated. And right now, you're at, if we were playing Pokemon, how they had that Pokemon Go, and my son just loves it. There's a point where you're battling back and forth and that person's energy level has hit an all-time low. That other Pokemon is now ready to be captured. You have to keep in mind right now you're being constantly probably attacked by that person, and your energy level is going lower and lower. And what is that person that you're watching this Pokemon? What do you see when you're looking at that Pokemon? You know the right time to throw that Pokeball, because now their energy level, where they were super strong in the beginning, has now depleted to almost nothing. So you know now if you throw that ball and capture them, you're likely going to catch it and keep it, and you have won this battle. Well, that is how a narcissist is viewing you right now, as if they know that the things they say and do have a better impact on you. It's the game they're playing in life, but condensed to an even bigger level, where of course, wouldn't it be convenient to make you have a mental breakdown during a quarantine to prove the point you're crazy? Or wouldn't it be so nice to completely break you down and then give you the silent treatment for days, just watching you cry, suffer, and pan for their attention and admiration? Or the narcissistic parent that's not there as is, and you're trying to call them and they're not answering, and you're just hurting inside because you just want to talk to them and you don't understand the cold shoulder. That's awful. And you do not want your vulnerability being exposed to draw them in even more so they can capture that light from you. If anything, this quarantine time should be used to rebuild that sense of self. For me, knowledge was power. Education was massive. If you're new to figuring out what is going on in this relationship, use this time to binge watch videos like this, to not only educate yourself, but the different tactics that are used where your mind can understand what's happening. Because by educating yourself, you will understand that these people do not change. They are highly unlikely to get help unless there's a huge source of trauma that's based where they are forced to look at themselves because it's having such a negative impact on their life. Use this time to rebuild your sense of self, where you are away from other people and it's causing you so much anxiety being stuck with this person. At the same time, for people that are introverts, it's probably a relief that you don't have to have so much social interaction. But what you want to do is preserve yourself during this time with this person so that when you do go back into whatever our new version of normal is, that you're able to still stand up and not feel so badly beaten down. You can't even go to work without having overwhelming anxiety and just fear when you're talking to others, where you can't trust anything, nothing feels safe. That is so common in these relationships, that you are constantly, even in moments that things are super happy, that is the most horrible feeling in narcissistic abuse, where you know things are so good right now and they're being so nice to you and maybe things are changing. That's that toxic hope, because you literally know inside of you, man, this is really gonna hurt when the shoe drops again and this person hurts me. And when that moment comes, you know you prepare for it mentally, but nothing can prepare you for that pain you feel all over again, and you're asking yourself, like, why did I do this? So maintain that dignity inside of you. Rebuild your sense of self. Figure out who you are right now. Use this time, instead of allowing this person to use it as their advanced tactic to taking you and capturing you in that Pokeball, or literally blowing you up and destroying you. Do self-serving behavior for once for you. You have been so selfless in this relationship. It is now time to at least make yourself stronger so you can survive this quarantine, so that you have less of a chance of taking your own life if it gets that bad. That is sadly a terrifying thing that happens in abuse, where someone can be so beaten down mentally, and it is comparable and the same, if not worse. Both forms of abuse are horrible, but what some people don't understand is that mental abuse can be just as detrimental or worse as physical. And anyone that is willing to abuse you is not a good person. So you need to protect yourself right now. There's not only self-help books you can read. If you're a book reader, you can go on Kindle, Nook, so that way you don't have to go in public. Go and make a list of things that you love doing. Maybe some things that you haven't had time to do until quarantine, where you have all this extra time. Put your passion back into your life. Those things will light you up, and you know what? There are two purposes. Not only do they give you something to do to distract you away from said relationship, but they rebuild your self-confidence. You know, for me, I love woodworking. I make chocolates. I'm a creative person. I love writing. If I do those things for me, it brings out a part of that love and light back into my life that I never want to lose. Don't forget who you are, and also bring that person back and rebuild her or him 10 times stronger. You deserve it. Your kids deserve it. Use this time for yourself, and you know what? By the end of this, you're going to be so grateful that you didn't let that person destroy you, because now is that prime time, and my goal is to make that victim count as little as possible. I don't ever want one person to feel alone, and if you want to know what the karma is for a narcissist, survive and thrive. Literally, if you can move on with your life at some point when this is all said and done, and just be confident in your abilities, it doesn't matter what happens to them. That is the best karma you can serve to them, because they're always paying attention to what you're doing. So if you're stuck in this relationship right now and you want to take a stand for yourself without even having to say a word, don't let them break you. Be very cold, gray rock. Only talk about things that are very vague. Don't overindulge and share. Have a separate validation source for the moments you need it, or the moments you need that emotional support. Any confrontation with them, do the emotional validation, the compliment sandwich, compliment, issue at hand, another compliment. It's the best way to do any form of communication with strategizing and negotiation anyway, so you will salt when trying to realize or rationalize a matter with someone who's completely irrational. And that's the number one thing I want you to remember. This has nothing to do with you. Sure, you mess up. We all make mistakes. There is no perfect person. But what type of person goes into a problem where someone they love is bringing an issue to the table, or just trying to love them, and they're telling that person back that they care, whether it's a mom, a partner, if it's a boss telling you they value you? What type of person gives that dedication back, at least by words, and then their actions show anything but? You're not a bad person. You're not stupid. It is not your fault. And if that person sees you holding your head high and they're unable to hurt you, that's going to be the best revenge and karma you can bring to the table. And that's amazing. If you or someone you know is experiencing this type of abuse, I highly suggest that you watch my videos and do everything you can to survive during this quarantine. I'm here for you all. If you have any other questions, or if you want to receive further content notifications, please like, subscribe, share to my channel. I'm going to be releasing new content consistently. I apologize again, I took a break. I just needed again to get myself back where I needed to be so I can make this content for you as 100% as possible. So I thank you for your continued support, guys. I'm here for you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.